James Dawe, men's programme lead at Cardiff Met Archers.
What's been the biggest change you've seen in that?
Biggest change? I mean, obviously I started a long time ago now, 2005-2006 season. And I mean, looking at it from a men's perspective, probably the biggest change is twofold. One, in terms of just the numbers we have playing. We have so many more teams now than we had when I started, and also the level we're playing. You know, we've gone up through the leagues and all the way up to Bucks Prem and now in NBL Division 2 as well. So I think, yeah, numbers and the level that we're performing at are probably the two biggest things for the men's program specifically. I think we've got a lot more support now in terms of the sort of program staff and the bits and pieces around the program. You know, there's probably more opportunity to fit in at a level that you're suited to. You know, back then when we only had sort of one or two teams, I think we had one Bucks team and we had NBL when I first started. But you know, if you weren't at that level, then there wasn't as much basketball for you. Little bit of participation, sort of open scrimmage and stuff. But yeah, I think now you're able to sort of slot in. You know, we have a bit more basketball for everyone at the moment.
Was anyone early on in those first few years you can recall having a big impact on that kind of start?
Yeah, I think there's a few people. Obviously, you know, Lucy Whitt was Lucy Power back then, kind of set the club up and got the ball rolling. But then there's a lot of people since then that have impacted it. Damien Jennings, who led the women's program early on, also you know, had a bit of a positive impact on the men as well. And then the guys who coached the men's team. So Vic Fleming was with us for a long time, great coach. He had a huge impact on the program. And you know, there's lots of other names in there. Manny was in there for a while, so lots of people have kind of helped push it along and build it in their own ways.
How have you managed to culminate such a culture that seems to be consistently positive? You never hear of people, you know, falling out and arguing at big butting heads. Like, how have you built this? Not saying you built it.
I mean, it's a good question. I think there probably is moments where, you know, people are always going to clash and different opinion, and that's also healthy in a lot of ways. But I guess it's just consistently having good people in the mix and maybe having a bit of a shared goal. Like I think particularly in the men's program, for example, we, you know, the staff really have a clear goal. You know, not only each year we set things we want to hit criteria-wise, but also a bit of an overarching vision to kind of build towards. I think when you get people on that kind of path, then the rest sort of takes care of itself, I guess.
What would you say is your philosophy for
basketball? Pass to the open person. No, as a player or as a coach? Well, I suppose both.
Both, really.
Yeah, I think, you know, coaching-wise, I want people to just be themselves, really, and be able to kind of shine and play to their strengths. And we try to, you know, run a system and concepts that allows for that. Obviously, we succeed to varying degrees each year. But I think, yeah, letting people kind of play to their strengths and try and put the team first is in a nutshell what we're kind of trying to drive forward.
How much have you seen in terms of maybe a change or a progression in the way that you've been able to equip things like the data that I imagine you have capabilities now compared to earlier on? Not just seen that kind of progress or improve?
Yeah, I think in terms of recruiting, the biggest driver for us has probably been our success. You know, getting into the top Bucks League has been huge for us, and sustaining, you know, NBL D2 going into next year again. Like, I think because we're at that high level, we get more interest, and then on top of that, you know, it's easier now to reach out to people across the world. So you've got teams, you've got you know, companies that might connect you with athletes that you may not have been able to get in contact with before. So I think technology's helped a lot, but I think just us sort of being successful and being a bit more well known has also helped.
Can you speak on anything to do with the successes of the women's team and the work that Steph and COX staff and people have done there?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, I've coached with Steph on the WBL team previously, and obviously having that program attached to Cardiff Met is a huge positive. It goes along with the wheelchair program as well. You know, having the WPL has also added, and actually that's something that when I speak to recruits that I will let them know. I'll make sure they know about. You know, yes, we have the men's program, but we also have the women's, the wheelchair, and also the junior program. I think all those things go in combination to kind of build a huge structure that you can get a lot out of. There's a lot of opportunity in there, you know, not only as a player, but maybe you want to coach or you want to officiate or be involved in other ways, and having those programs stitched together builds you the full picture.
Having them all connected under one banner, is that kind of what separates the archers? That you can do all of this all here and everyone feels part of something bigger?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely what feeds into the amount of opportunity that can be derived from it. So students, for example, can, as we said, do the refereeing, do the coaching, do playing, but they can also do other things that are related to their course. So maybe they're doing stats course and they want to do some stuff with their teams, or they're doing S&C and they want to do a placement. So yeah, I definitely think having all of those options and then having that wealth of experience across those programs can definitely build like the connections that people need to have a bit more opportunity than they might maybe in a smaller club, or a club that's not connected to university, or a club with only one of those pillars.
A lot of people have been sending in their favourite archers moment. Could you give us yours, your personal moment, playing or coaching?
That is a super tough one, because there's obviously been a lot of moments over almost 18 years, and there's been a few times where we've won national leagues, which has been great with different sets of characters. One moment that always sticks out to me was when we beat Worcester in our National League region. I think in my third year, we actually won the league that year with an all-student team, and Worcester were a super tough team. They had some guys that were sort of sitting on the bench for their BBL team, and we weren't really expected to win, I don't think, that year, and we upset a few people. But that game particularly, we were late. I think I was tying my shoes as the ball was being tipped. And we were down the whole game, and there was about minute 30 left. And one of my best friends, Bobby Skinner, hit a huge three, put us up 2. We managed to win that game. So I think that, and the fact that we won the season off the back of that was probably one of the best on-court moments I can remember.
Interesting you say on-court moments there. So are there off-court moments that stand out to you? Or?
I wouldn't say there's one moment that stands out, but I think like off court, it's still fun you have with the guys. I always reference it, but anytime Gareth Williams starts singing in the changing room, things are normally going pretty well. So yeah, I think off court is just about the people and having fun outside of it, I guess.
Welsh captain for the past few years, has that provided any additional pressure for you at Archers? At club level, does it bring anything else, having to play international games and being known that you captain Wales?
Potentially. I think you really just turn up and try and get on with it. So it's best to try and not think about those things too much. Sometimes there's a little bit of crossover with the players that are involved, so just have to try and manage the relationships and your sort of role within 2 different teams, because it's different slightly if you're playing for Wales, you're playing for Cardiff Met, you might be asked to do different things. So I think it's just managing the difference in roles and responsibility really is the main thing there. I'm not sure if it adds a huge amount of pressure or not.
Do you think it changes the way that other players maybe doesn't have the pressure for you? Do you think that youngster coming up knowing that his coach is actually captain for the Welsh team, do you think that makes a difference to them?
Maybe, you'd have to ask them. I think the main thing about that though is again, separating the roles. When people walk through the door, it's about, especially from a coaching perspective, what do they need? How can I integrate them into the culture? I don't know how much weighting that those kind of things have on that once you actually get on the ground and get into sessions and start interacting with people. I think it just comes down to building a relationship with each of them.
It's going to be played to all those people kind of there. Is there any message you want to get across that you haven't been able to say here?
No, I don't think so. I just hope everyone has a good time, and let's roll on the next 25 years.